Well, it's Sunday, April 3rd at 2 o'clock. 9 degrees out right now. I'm just going to head back into our Northwoods to do some firewood cutting. I've got the chainsaw and I've got a couple birdhouses I'm also going to try and find a place to put up. This is where I'm going to be sawing some firewood right now. This is one of many American beech trees that have died and toppled over due to the beech bark disease that's going all through North America right now. Really sad because parts of our forest, including this area, have up to 30% beech in certain areas. So when they're all dying and falling down, it's really opening up the forest. Anyhow, I'll take some here and get it dried out over the summer. So today I'm going to be using our new electric chainsaw. We actually got this last fall. It's the Milwaukee M18 fuel electric chainsaw. Has a 16-inch bar here. It's a narrower gauge chain, but so far we've been really impressed. It takes this large 12 amp battery, and they seem to run for about an hour or so, depending how thick the wood is you're cutting. I don't think they're really probably suitable for doing lots of really thick wood, but they do cut quite well and certainly can cut through thick wood. Anyhow, you'll see how it runs today. I'm going to be starting with the smaller branches of this tree to see how it goes again and just get back used to it. The nice thing about this electric chainsaw is that it has a variable speed startup. You can see you can go slow and then instantaneously fast as well. And as soon as you let go of the trigger, it stops. So it's not constantly idling, obviously, like a gas engine. But obviously there's no smoke. The noise is a lot less. You do still add chain oil, obviously, because it has to lubricate the chain, but no fuel to put into it other than the electric battery, and it sharpens similarly to a normal chainsaw. So really quite a nice thing to work with. I personally get almost sick on the fumes of a normal chainsaw and the noise and the stink, so it's nice to have something cleaner like this. I'll try cutting this branch from the bottom because it's pried up on the end, so that means it's gonna cave downwards. If I was to cut from the top, it would cave down and bind the chainsaw bar and chain. So I'll cut up from below and hopefully it'll just crack around the chainsaw bar itself. It's cracking a bit. I'll start from the top now. There we go. And I'll just give a view of how it cuts normally now that I don't have to worry about it binding. Go straight down. That's pretty good. I was a little concerned. I didn't know if this tree would be good still, because they do tend to deteriorate fairly quickly once they've fallen down, but this wood is still good and solid. Just found a beer bottle. Of course it's broken. A couple beer bottles. Someone in the woods, I guess. So that gives you an idea how this electric chainsaw works. It's actually quite fast on these pieces that are about 6 inches in diameter. And I'll just continue taking some of these smaller trunk sections first, working my way down to the bigger trunk at the end. Although I won't be doing all that today, but I'll be just getting as much of this smaller stuff as I can. Always a good idea to keep your work area free of debris, because if you don't, the next thing you know, you'll be tripping over all this stuff, and not a good idea when you're sawing wood. Just so much debris on the ground from the tree falling and other trees dropping their branches as they die. So what I did here was I took the rest of the branch that I was cutting before. I had cut it down to this point, and I took the rest of it, trimmed off the upper branchlets, and now have moved it to here where it's propped up on the old tree here. So now I can just start taking off sections here easily now that it's propped up. See, I'm sort of bracing it with my leg. And you just keep dragging it out. This one, I put my foot on it just because it's floating a bit here. And I'll go fairly fine. We can use smaller pieces too for starting the fires. This one's a bit twist, like a double stem here. I hope it'll cut fine. No problem. Now I got two separate sections here. I may leave these. Well, I can cut this one, I guess. So I just trimmed this upper trunk off at the end over here. I got the fine branches cut off. Now I'm just trimming it back in sections, back to where it meets the main trunk. And once you have a piece that's up and exposed like this, it's really easy to go along and cut it. It's harder when they're laying right on the ground. You have to find ways to prop them up on different ends and things to keep them from binding, but this one's going quite easily. So here's the result of having that branch or trunk cut up. So I've got all these pieces here to put in the trailer now, in addition to what I had previously, right up there. And I'm still on the third bar of power on the battery, 3 out of 4. So it hasn't gone too far down in power yet. So I left the house at about 2 o'clock. It's now 3 o'clock, and I've got a lot of this ATV trailer filled up. I might do a bit more cutting right now, but I also want to get these birdhouses put up if I can find a place for them. So I think I better call it quits. I just realized one of the tires on my trailer here is looking kind of low. I should have checked the pressure before I brought it out here, but there is a fair amount of weight in this trailer right now, all hardwood. So I'm just gonna head back with this, not fill it anymore. But you can see I made quite a bit of progress. I took the one of these big main branches off the top here. I've reseated these two back to here from out there, so now I just got the main trunk and a few accessory trunks to cut off, and then obviously the biggest part back here, which I may eventually use our gas chainsaw for. I'm not sure. This thing will do it, but it might be a bit might be asking a bit too much of it. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people will use them for things. This here is about 10 inches in diameter, 10 or 11, 12 inches depending where you are. So it's getting quite thick. But I really enjoy using this thing so far. We've only had it, as I said, since the fall. But nice to not have the stink that you always get with your standard gas chainsaw. I can work out here with beautiful fresh air. The noise isn't even that loud. It's a high whiny sound, but it's not that annoying. And I'm also wearing hearing protection anyhow, just because it's built into the helmet that I use. But overall, I really enjoy working with this thing. It seems to have good lasting power. I'm still on the third bar here. It may be going to shift to the second before long, I don't know. But you can go for depending again on the thickness, you can go for over an hour or an hour and a half maybe, cutting this 5-6 inch type stuff or smaller, and even bigger probably. So here's the haul that I just cut. Everything above this board that I'm holding here, all this along here, and then all this, and then virtually everything on this whole side here was all, except for that piece, all this here was cut. Doesn't look like all that much, but it filled up the wagon pretty good. So there you go, a little bit of wood cutting. I only got one bird box hung up because I wasn't sure what to do with the other one, plus I was a little worried about the tires here, so I'm gonna have to blow them up. Anyhow, just in case anyone was interested in these electric chainsaws, there's a little bit of a review of that one. Not a huge review, but just a little bit showing you how it works and stuff. Catch you later.